Is it possible to complete the community center solely through the traveling cart? After having used the traveling cart a time or two, or let's just be honest, countless times to finish off a bundle here or there, naturally, I was curious. Can I just buy all the supplies needed for the community center right here? Could the traveling cart be my direct and only source to beat the game? I naively thought it would be a simple yes or no answer. And well, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but it's quite literally anything but simple. Of course, I did a brief look to see if anyone had attempted such a thing. And honestly, to my surprise, or even to my horror, I couldn't find much of anything, which was my first alarm bell. Something was definitely off here. And yeah, I quickly found out why. Checking the regular bundles, I went room by room. You can source everything for the community center in the craft room from the traveling cart, but things do get trickier in the pantry. The traveling cart merchant doesn't sell quality crops, but she does sell seeds. So, crisis averted with some big brain energy. While, for instance, you can't directly buy gold quality pumpkins, parsnips, etc., you can do the painstaking work of buying the seeds in hopes of getting that gold quality crop. The fish tank is easy enough, but then the boiler room goes and messes everything up. You can't buy any gems from the traveling cart or even geodes. Essentially, this is where all hope is lost, because there's not really anything you can do to get around this, at least directly. Sure, you could reason that you could just go to the mines, but then at what point do you stop? What I mean is, if it's okay to source the materials in the mines, why wouldn't you be able to do that for the fish and forage similarly? And if that's the case, it's not truly a traveling cart run I'm going for here. So I turned towards the remixed bundles, and that's when things got even more complicated and more messy. With the remixed bundles, we can get around having to find gems and geodes. However, it does introduce a whole host of other problems. This was clearly another alarm bell. You'd have to hope beyond comprehension that you'd get the right combinations of bundles. And I mean that wholeheartedly, because there are combinations where you can get everything, or mostly everything, directly through the traveling cart. And I know what you're thinking, what about the vault? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I thought long and hard about it. I will be allowing myself to sell anything I buy from the traveling cart only, which means I can buy, say, a pumpkin seed, grow said seed, and then process it into some sort of pickle or juice, or even just the pumpkin itself to sell. And then all my profits will be earned through this way, where whatever I'm selling does have to originate from the traveling cart in some way. And similarly, you could reason that with these profits gained through the traveling cart, I could just bypass the traveling cart entirely and buy seeds, for instance, from Pierre. And it technically would be through means of the traveling cart, but that is not in the spirit of the way I personally want to go about things. I want to directly use the traveling cart as much as possible, even if I could reason around it. And yes, even if that means the odds of completing this challenge are not in my favor, I still want to do it this way, but that doesn't mean there won't be exceptions somewhere along the way, because trust me, the odds are stacked against me. But I didn't quite know this when I began my prep. On the wiki, it doesn't give you the odds of a specific bundle occurring, it just shows you the options. At least I didn't find those odds in my brief skim through. So I thought, naturally, I could brute force my way through to get the bundles I wanted. So yes, I did boot up the game and actually played to day 5 to see what the first bundles would be. There are a few problems with this method. I mean, it could be a total time sink, And you have to potentially start completing the community center only to find out a bundle in, say, the pantry or boiler room is impossible. Dare I say, another alarm bell? So I did do this for around 5 saves, and then I started my first attempt. But I was weak-minded. I bought a garlic seed to just start making money, but I quickly realized, duh, the traveling cart sells at absurd prices. So making a profit early on is tricky. Yet another alarm bell. Now, this is where I was trying to cope really hard because I wanted everything to truly be through the traveling cart like I mentioned before. So to find out making a profit was harder than expected, well, like I said, I tried to cope. I tried to reason maybe digging through the trash would be okay and be an okay exception to make some money, but it just didn't feel right with me, and so I abandoned the save. And I let myself rest on this idea. I knew I wanted to give this challenge a go, but I wasn't 100% sure how I was going to go about it without completely floundering and wasting a whole lot of my time. Luckily, it was a good thing I did wait because I found out about the Stardew checkup website where I could look at the bundles my save had. All I would need to do was create a save, and then I could just instantly head on over to see what remix bundles I got. Now, this is also easier said than done. Even with this checkup, this process was still painful because it's all about luck. It wasn't until my 34th attempt to just keep reloading saves that I got the right boiler room combinations. But I was struck down by the bulletin board. So it wasn't quite as easy as I had hoped, but I did continue on. On my 43rd save, I once again had a good boiler room combination and a good bulletin board one as well. But the craft room said try again because it had summer squash and broccoli, which would end up being the bane of my existence. Like I mentioned, the wiki doesn't have the odds of each bundle occurrence, but let me tell you, it's almost impossible to get a combination where there are no summer squash, broccoli, or carrots needed. And I'm not even exaggerating, sadly, but I continued this slow grind for about 300 saves. Along the way, I did install a mod so I wouldn't have to reset my character name, farm name, all those types of things, because it was getting a little painstaking. But eventually, after going through, like I said, around 300 saves, I started messing around to see if there were any patterns, because I had looked up that there are some patterns in the random seed, but I think I ended up just tricking myself into thinking there might have been some sort of pattern. But then I actually started keeping track of the boiler room bundles, and really, there was no clear pattern I could discern, so I thought, okay, I'll just pick a safe number and start incrementing from that seed. But 200 seeds later, and I was no closer to getting an okay combination. Guys, I was truly losing my mind because this was taking hours and days, and I was getting nowhere. And it was also annoying me because it should be possible to get the right bundle combinations, but I have no idea how probable it is. Which is the key here. This might be the biggest alarm bell, honestly. So I once again tried to cope. If I'm going to buy the vault bundles, then I can reasonably buy something else. So maybe I could buy geodes. But geodes would require buying from Krobus, and the Omni geodes don't have all the gems. So I thought, okay, dead end right here in that case. Regardless of this dead end though, I did try to cope once more. I had looked into skirting my way around those new 1.6 seeds, and I thought I had found a way through the raccoon store. Only you unlock said store by finishing the pantry, but the pantry is the bundle with the summer squash, carrot, and broccoli, so that quite literally makes things impossible. But I dug a little further. Mystery boxes actually have a chance of giving these seeds. you can't buy mystery boxes from the traveling cart directly, or really any store for the matter. So you would think again, okay, another dead end. But that's where you're wrong. You can exchange calico eggs for mystery boxes at the Desert Festival. But you can't get calico eggs from the traveling cart, which is true, but you can buy calico eggs when Pierre is manning one of the stalls. So you can use the funds you got from the traveling cart to buy calico eggs, trade those eggs for mystery boxes, and then open said mystery boxes for a chance at those harder seasonal seeds. And I know I said I did want to get most of the items directly through the traveling merchant herself, but sacrifices have to be made, and this is just one of them. No one said it was going to be easy, and so with that, I was beginning to think what was impossible suddenly is now more possible. I had kept note of a few game seeds that were close to fitting the criteria in case I did ever cave in or find an exception, and I'm glad I did because I had just the right seed. Now I can safely delete almost 1,000 saves that I did look through. And in that process, I think I only found a handful of seeds that didn't have some sort of summer squash, carrot, or broccoli. So I do feel like to actually get the right save, I could have been looking through thousands more seeds before I found a suitable one. And for what? Honestly, I don't know if that would have been any faster in the long run. And this is my own self-imposed challenge, so it really only matters what I think at the end of the day. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself, because I do have a feeling this is still going to take a long time to complete. So let's see how long exactly it takes to complete the community center with the traveling cart, and go ahead and leave your guess below. That, I'm afraid, was all the pre-prep. It's now time for the actual prep, because like I had sadly found out before, it does take a bit of effort to turn anything from the traveling cart into profit. And for this, I'm not restricting myself to only being able to use traveling cart supplies. And what I mean by this is I can use the free parsnips or any wild seeds I find to help gain farming experience. And I can cut down a tree to craft a preserve jar, keg, etc. I just won't be able to use that same wood to donate to the community center or sell for profit since it didn't come from the traveling cart. I'm only able to sell items that originated from the traveling cart in some way, and I'm only able to donate items that were either used with that money earned from the traveling cart or through the traveling cart directly, like I have mentioned before. So to get operations up and running, I wanted to level up both my farming and foraging skills. As I had learned early on, selling unprocessed crops from the traveling cart will almost always end in a loss. So I do need to work on leveling up my farming skill if I have any hopes of making a real profit within the first year. And so I planted my starter parsnips and some wild seeds, of which those wild seeds will become quite valuable in helping me to gain experience. I did craft a chest dedicated to my items from the traveling cart, so I wouldn't be able to mix up my non-cart items. But we'll have to see when it actually comes in handy, because I will be needing a decent amount of gold before I'm in a comfortable position, especially with the vault bundle and the cost of items at the traveling cart. The cost of living here in Pelican Town is through the roof, and it's entirely my fault. I wouldn't say I chose this way of life, it chose me, but I'm here regardless. And yes, I will forever have to carry that burden, because quite frankly, what was I thinking? Because leveling up my skills and money supply was a slow and painful process, not one that took a couple of weeks or seasons. And so early on, even when I had less than enough money to properly support my household of one, I did diligently check the traveling cart because by now, you should know I do enjoy to inflict emotional pain on myself. I'm not saying it's a good thing I do this, I just am aware of it, okay? it livens things up because it really is taking a while to make progress. But I suppose that's what makes this whole thing a challenge in the first place. Overall, my first spring was filled with a lot of scavenging. I kept whatever my grubby hands could latch onto, and trust me, I have a hard time letting go because, well, then I'd probably make a profit from it, and that's not what I'm here to do. I mainly looked for forage, spring onions, the occasional wild seed, and unfortunately, I have been struck with the dumb. I swear, okay, I should not put this on you. So I have played Stardew for years, yet sometimes I forget how the basic mechanics work. Because what do you mean I lost 50 gold for passing out? Just end it all here. No, wait, you know what? I didn't even want that gold to start off with anyway. I wanted to start off with 450 gold. No, that 50 gold wouldn't have been helpful, not in the slightest. Let's hope that doesn't come to haunt me later. I guess that money loss was really celebration for triggering the community center cutscene. We're off to a great start. But I did find an ancient seed early on. At first I thought, lame. I can't monopolize this ancient seed like nature intended, but that was where I was wrong. I could use it for experience, but that could also just be me coping again. I did make use of the museum to get my hands on some free cauliflower seeds for more experience. I really want to reach level 10 farming, so I can either buy a seed from the traveling cart and put the resulting crop in the seed maker, or buy the crop straight from the traveling cart and put that in the seed maker. But all good things must wait, I suppose. Or not, because I could have afforded some cranberry seeds from the traveling cart only if I hadn't passed out earlier in the season. Isn't that just wonderful? I tried to tell myself something better would come along, but I didn't quite believe myself. I did manage to hit level 5 foraging and then level 2 farming the next day. Love to see that not only is my money slow to grow, but my skills are as well, at least farming. And finally getting my in-game cat was an even slower process because it took 20 whole days for Wumbus to show up since I had little, and by little, I quite literally mean no profit to my name. Yikes. Putting things in perspective like that really made me fork over some of my limited supply of gold to the traveling cart lady for a beet seed. Yes, it's a fall crop, but I think that's just fine with the rate things are going. So finally, I was able to use my traveling cart chest to store my precious beet seed away. Right before the end of my first spring, I did manage to donate enough to the museum to get some melon seeds for that sweet, sweet experience. So I did make sure to plant them right away, but then I spent some time in the mines trying to gather wild seeds to hopefully expedite the whole farming level grind. Now, with the foresight of how things actually go in the end, I definitely think I would have opted for the Meadowlands farm if I was to ever redo this challenge, which I do never plan on doing, by the way. But if I was, I think the extra experience from the chickens could really help with leveling up farming early on. But I am partial to the forest farm, so I did do myself just by being myself. This fact does in fact hurt. I spent a lot of time looking for wild seeds, and then being disappointed by the cart when I realized time after time I was too broke for anything. Honestly, I don't know why I kept checking, but at least some of my efforts did pay off because I reached level 3 in farming. It's quite literally all I have going for me. Well, that and my foraging level, whatever that's at. Scratch that, I actually have something else to my name. The Trash Catalog. It's like the game knows my soul. But I can finally make this little house a home. A trashy one, but a home nonetheless. And the hits, they just kept on coming because why did you have to do that to me, Alex? I was going to pick that up, but I guess never mind. I hope your team loses the gridball game. And yes, I did have to look up that he watches gridball because I forgot. at least I could take some comfort in the fact I had some crops to harvest the next day, which did allow me to reach level 4 in farming. Almost halfway there. In celebration, I did go ahead and craft 5 preserve jars, which, spoiler, I don't think I ever ended up using on purpose, but it is the thought that counts. I once again continued the wild seed grind before the green rain appeared and my crops along with it. I did another harvest, gaining some ideas to sleep on, which allowed me to reach level 5 in farming and level 7 in foraging. Look at me go! Still not where I want to be, but progress has been made. I did take the time to craft some weak sprinklers. The basic sprinklers give sprinklers all around the world a bad name, but I'll work with what I have since I haven't quite struck gold yet in the mines. With another harvest day upon me, I did reach level 6 in farming. Despite this happy occasion, I did realize I would more than likely lose money on my beet if I wanted to use it for some fast cash. I had this whole plan to look up the sell price of everything I would potentially buy from the cart, but the excitement got to me, what can I say? And so summer quickly fizzled out, but fall has some real potential with my soul beet seed. Are you excited? I know I am. I gave my beet his own little sprinkler and scarecrow away from the basic crops and sprinklers my other crops and flowers are using. And then it was the countdown. The countdown to my beet's birth. 7 long days came and went, but she was ready. All that time waiting, and I was unsure what to do. So I chucked it back in the traveling cart chest for safekeeping. Let's be real, there's not a ton to do with it since I don't have the seed maker. Otherwise, like I said before, I'd be selling my beet, even in that preserve jar, at a loss, I'm pretty sure. In the meantime though, I did pick up the community cleanup quest from Linus since I wanted the fiber seed recipe. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved his money as well, but I just couldn't in good faith take it from him. You understand, I'm just a girl with great morals. Or a girl on a challenge run, who's to say? And luckily, completing the quest didn't take too long, so I got the fiber seed recipe in the mail. It's a shame the recipe uses wild seeds though, but at least my blackberry hunting paid off because I did reach level 8 foraging. I continued to check the cart, and it physically pains me that I would have been able to have enough for a pumpkin if I hadn't passed out that one day all the way back in spring. I am still paying for my mistakes. Haven't I suffered enough just to get to this save? Well, apparently not. Regardless, I did decide to take the hit and sell my beet to Pierre because I really wanted that pumpkin seed. Pumpkins are just a way better crop, so even if I have to wait a while, as in another year, for things to pick up a bit, I will make that sacrifice. Although, now that I think about it, that beet is also a fall crop, so I'm really not wasting any time there. So yes, I did go on ahead and buy the pumpkin seed, which does mean I'm even more broke than before, which makes it almost pointless to check the traveling cart. Almost. Because, well, I knew logically it didn't make sense, but psychologically, I had to know what I was missing. But first, it was another harvest day, so I quickly harvested my crops, gathering even more ideas to sleep on, and how did I not ever know you could eat flowers? That sounds toxic, but I will not question it. And with that, I was level 7 farming, inching my way closer and closer to that seed maker. I did take a nice intermission by attending the fair. I mean, how could I not when I'm this strong? And I mean, I'm not even just strong in strength, but in strategy as well, because I won the fair. Yeah, me, with no planning and little to my name, I destroyed Pierre. And it was essential for me to do so I could be reminded of efficiency because I have yet to donate one thing to the community center. But hey, who's counting? Oh, you are? And oh, you mean to tell me that some people would be done with the community center by now? Well, that's quite frankly none of my business. I did take the time to restore my body and spirit in the spa because why not waste a little bit more time? Anyway, after another successful harvest, I did reach level 8 in farming, and my fiber seed experiment failed. I harvested some of my fiber, but I got one measly wild seed from it, so that way of farming wild seeds is out of the question, I suppose. Eventually, my traveling cart pumpkin was ready for harvest, but I made sure to put that straight in my traveling cart storage chest because I know I can bring in a lot of profit with it if I just wait and don't hastily put it in the preserve jar. To close the fall season, I did some more foraging and was able to snag level 9 foraging before the season was over. But I wasn't able to find any powder melon seeds, so there is that. It's not completely looking up from here, okay? Winter should be a different story though, I am sure of it. So okay, my first day hunting for powder melon seeds was not successful, but I did get some wild seeds. But the next day, after crafting a tapper for my future kegs, I did find 5 powder melon seeds. I know, crazy. Anyway, yes, I did check the traveling cart because for some reason my brain was hardwired to do so. And she is an elitist, by the way, because who does she think she is selling a catalog for 110,000 gold? In the meantime, I did spend a lot of my time in the mines gathering supplies and seeds. And eventually, that tapper was able to produce some oak resin, so I was in return able to craft my first keg. So yeah, I really didn't need to craft all those preserve jars, and by all of those, I do mean the 5 I crafted. Like, to be fair, I didn't go wild and out crafting a million of them, but still, they will haunt me. In hopes of leveling up my foraging skill, I did craft some winter seeds, so let's hope that will help me level up. And I'm not going to lie, I can't even remember why I was so dead set on leveling up foraging, but I guess I'll just trust the process. I mean, it's too late for me now not to. And just like that, the night market was upon me. So there would be even more chances to realize I'm too broke to buy a single thing. To make myself feel better, I did craft some quality sprinklers after all my dedication in the mines. To top it off, I did find a dino egg, but I was able to craft another keg, so who's the real winner? Please tell me it is in fact me. Anyway, the night market was a bust because my wallet was busted, but my luck apparently wasn't because I did get another dino egg. At this point, I think checking the traveling cart is causing me more harm than good. I need to stop doing it, but it's in the spirit of the challenge. Focusing my energy on more productive things, I was able to harvest those winter seeds, but I did not get any new foraging levels, and on that disappointing note, year 1 slowly has come to an end, which means I have earned no money in year 1, and I have donated nothing to the community center. I never claimed I was going to be good at this, just that I was going to attempt this. So with that, Kent, please get out of here. I don't have time for you and your shenanigans. Adding insult to injury, Robin and Clint had a plot against me and raised their prices. I couldn't even afford their prices before, so thanks for that, I guess. I channeled all my resentment into planting the wild seeds I had stockpiled. I started on planting some spring seeds as well, but that was a 2-day event because my farm, she's booming. And it's like my body was listening because just a couple days later, after a carrot harvest, I was able to reach level 9 in farming. The seed maker is now mine, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Well, the only thing stopping me was myself, because I did promptly forget to craft it the day I got the recipe, but have no fear. I made sure to craft one on the 6th, and you bet I wasted no time putting the traveling cart pumpkin inside. And all my efforts are starting to pay off since I did get 3 pumpkin seeds. On the 8th, I had a nice spring seed harvest of forageables and was able to hit level 10 in foraging. I still don't know why I wanted to hit level 10 so badly, but who am I to question it now that I'm here? Quite frankly, I don't want to question my ways, because I did realize I could put the crops harvested from the wild seeds into the seed maker to then only plant the ones that I knew would give me more experience. But it is a slow process when you only have one seed maker. I don't know why, but for some reason, I did decide to be a minimalist and run off of one seed maker for the longest time. This constant harvest, seed make, replant went on for days and days and days. It didn't pay off until the 17th, where I was able to reach level 10 in farming. Now I remember why I wanted level 10 in farming. For those sweet artisan perks. In other words, for that sweet money. Speaking of money, it's time to hone in and focus on nothing but money, just like my forefather, Mr. Krabs. The rest of spring consisted of me checking the cart, harvesting the occasional crop, and then planting an oak tree forest so I could craft more cakes than a reasonable person would know what to do with. On top of it all, I did hit up the mines to source some bone fragments so I could start crafting deluxe speed grow. I continued this building effort in the summer as I worked on getting the resources to craft enough tappers for my trees. It took nearly the entire season for all my trees to grow big and strong, but I was able to craft plenty of kegs, or at least to give me a good start in the meantime. But then it was time. It was time to fall into autumn and plant my precious 3 pumpkin seeds with my very own home concocted speed grow. It's certainly not FDA certified. In any case, they better grow big and strong because I am placing all my hopes and dreams on them. If they wither away, I wither away. I have nothing else going for me. Luckily, they made it through the days, and I wasted no time placing them in the seed maker. From my 3 pumpkins, they were able to be turned into 7 seeds, so I did plant those and was back to the waiting game. By the 19th, they were once again ready to be plucked from the earth. Wait, okay, side question, is Pelican Town on Earth or some other universe? Anyway, I did put one of my precious pumpkins into the keg to squeeze out its life force. And are you kidding me? I got mixed seeds? I take that as an attack on me and my good name. Despite that, I did manage to get 12 seeds out of it, so I guess not the worst results ever, and I'm pretty sure I can do one more round of planting, so 6 feet under they go. And yes, I do think technically I could have planted those wild seeds for profit, since technically they did come from a pumpkin that was in one shape or form sourced from the traveling cart, but what can I say? I wanted to be a bit of a purist, so I didn't do that. Don't get me wrong, I was tempted because eventually I did get ancient seeds from it, but I held strong. Rude. The absolute nerve of this giant mushroom to steal my look. Uncalled for. I've never seen a more beautiful sight. My first pumpkin juice. There's no time to waste. Straight into the bin for you. And my first 1K gold never felt so good. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could actually think about buying something from the traveling cart. Only took 2 years. I contemplated buying the winter root, but I do think I can get it cheaper, so I did decide to wait. I mean, I did just get 1K the other day. I don't need to blow it all in one day. On the last of fall, I harvested 12 pumpkins, straight to the seed maker with most of them, but I did place 2 of them in my kegs. I was able to turn 10 pumpkins into 17 seeds for the next season. And I want to say that in real life, it had been long enough since I started that I couldn't even remember any of the bundles that the Stardew checkup had shown me, so it is kind of like I'm going into this blind, like you would in a normal playthrough. But my patience ended up paying off since I was able to buy a winter root from the traveling cart at a lower price. You bet I ran over to the community center and made my first donation. My first profit and donation all in the same month. I did go ahead and plant fiber seeds to try and preserve my deluxe speed grow for spring, and it seems to be alive and well in winter. Just please hold on for 28 more days. I hit up the traveling cart on the 5th, And I forked over the money for some rhubarb. I think I can make a decent amount of money with some rhubarb wine. And this way, I don't have to wait till fall to do so. I chucked the rhubarb into the seed maker and was able to get 3 seeds out of it. I safely tucked them into the traveling cart chest and was able to earn another 2K profits from the last of my pumpkin juice. On the 12th, I went ahead and bought a parsnip. I do think it'll be an easy way to make some money fast, potentially, and in all honesty, I forgot if I even needed one for the pantry, so better safe than sorry to buy it now. Straight to the storage with you as well. Before I knew it, the night market was upon me, and I waited, and waited, and then I contemplated, and contemplated. I thought about buying a purple mushroom, but I ended up passing on it since it was a larger gold value item. Again, I contemplated on the 21st with some blueberries, but did ultimately decide against it. I did take the time to go to the Feast of the Winter Star, since at the time I was playing through this, it was almost Christmas in real life, so I felt morally obligated to get in the festive spirit. And it is a good thing I did because I got some free speed grow. I handed over some gold for cranberry seeds on the 26th. Since I know I can churn those suckers out like my life depends on it, I'll just have to wait until fall to do so. Minor detail, but I am used to it with the pumpkins, so really, it's not that bad. And on the last day of winter, year 2, I did purchase a hazelnut, which I was able to donate to the community center before it was regrettably time for Grandpa to judge me. Please don't be too... Oh, I guess I deserve that measly 1 candle. I can't exactly blame him for holding out on me. I mean, to be fair, I've only donated 2 things to the community center and haven't really done much else. Anyway, for the first time ever, I had some spring seeds to plant from the traveling cart. My nip I bought earlier had turned into 2 seeds, so I planted those along with my 3 rhubarb seeds. And so I spent a lot of time harvesting, seed making, planting, and then restarting the entire process for all my nips. I was able to harvest and replant rhubarb on the 10th, but then it was back to that nip grind. I almost forgot to mention that I did fork over the gold for a common mushroom. I guess I was just so content with having this success go unnoticed, but editing me will not allow that to happen. So look at it. Look at my 3rd donation to the community center. This is my 3rd donation in year 3. So I'm just gonna say it. I feel like year 3 could be the year for me. Eventually, I did place the 2 whopping nips in the keg because I did want to start to build up a supply of parsnip juice. I almost fatally bought a leak at the traveling cart, but I did make sure to double check and oh, I guess I don't need it. I followed that up by placing 2 more nips in my kegs. Going crazy, I know. And then 2 of my early parsnip juices were ready, and yikes, I hate to see it, but they sell for very little. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't expecting much, but a girl can dream. The 19th was another dual harvest day. I harvested rhubarb and parsnips. I put some of the crops in my kegs before turning the rest to seeds. It was taking forever since I only had 1 seed maker, as I mentioned before. The next day, I was able to sell 2 more parsnip juices. I know, moving up in the world. But the fairy also visited, so who am I to complain? I ended up forking over 1K on an expensive sweet pea, but trust me, I could afford it. My nips will pay off. Don't worry about it. But you better believe I went on ahead and donated that sweet pea to the community center. On the 23rd, I placed 7 more parsnips in the kegs before doing my last round of parsnip planting for the season, all before bringing home a total of 500 gold. I followed that up with chucking even more nips into my kegs before all my kegs were full with parsnips. Not the way nature intended for kegs to be used, but you take what you can get out here. Trust me. I was able to buy a spiceberry from the traveling cart, and after donating it to the community center, I just need to get my hands on a grape to be able to finish that bundle. The next day, I had more parsnip profits to sleep on before it was the end of spring as I knew it. I harvested my 11 rhubarb and only placed 1 in the seed maker for next year. The rest, well, they went into my kegs, except that I wasn't happy with only having 3 seeds, so I did end up putting 1 more rhubarb in the seed maker to get 5 seeds. I threw 11 more parsnip juices in the bin before checking the cart. I wish I had enough money for the red cabbage seed. Oh wait, hold that thought. I quickly ran over to Pierre and sold a gold nip to Pierre so that I could do exactly that. I bought the red cabbage seed so I would have something to grow in summer, just in the nick of time. I ended the season with 1k profits from all my nip juice. I wasted no time planting my red cabbage seed, replenishing my kegs with more parsnips while I was at it. This time my juice brought in 2.5k profits. And so the next couple of days were filled with selling more parsnip juice, more than one person should ever sell, just FYI. I did buy a rare seed from the traveling cart. Before the green rain descended upon me, it was also the day my red cabbage was ready for harvest, so I did harvest that before turning it into a seed and grabbing my rhubarb wine. At the traveling cart, I bought another pumpkin seed and rare seed before bringing home a nice 9k profits. And then I continued to pump out those parsnip juices. In doing so, I finally made enough money for Demetrius to ask what kind of cave I wanted. Took him long enough. Or, to be fair, took me long enough, but we don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of it. On the 12th, I was able to buy 5 radishes and 1 summer seed from the traveling cart, so I put the radishes in the seed maker and got 12 seeds. So I planted those along with my summer seed as well. Once again, my red cabbages were ready for harvest, so I did harvest them before putting them right back in the seed maker. And then I did one last replenish of parsnips in my kegs, since I did want to keep 5 gold quality ones in case they came in handy for the pantry. I ended that day with 4k gold. At the traveling cart the next day, I bought a fall seed, snow yam, and rare seed. I promptly donated the snow yam to the community center. And then I continued to sell what was in my kegs. My radishes were ready for harvest though, so I did turn those into seeds before my fall seed had grown big and strong and into a grape, like I wanted. I scurried on over to donate it, which allowed me to finish the summer forage bundle, which also means I now have access to the pantry and fish tank. The summer squash scared me for a second. It had been a while since I'd been traumatized by its existence, but it still remains my mortal enemy. But good thing I kept some nips handy because I was able to donate a nip and 5 gold parsnips to the pantry, all of which originated from the nip bought from the traveling cart so long ago. On the 19th, my red cabbages were ready for another harvest, and then I headed over to the cart to buy a rare seed, corn seed, and another fall seed. Then I proceeded to buy a carp and cauliflower, but oops, I guess I don't need that cauliflower. Oh well. I did plant the corn before heading over to the community center to donate my first fish to the fish tank. Again, I was harvesting and replanting radishes before it was time for another cart visit. This time I bought juice, kale, and large milk. I also bought a green tea and 5 rare seeds. Waiting absolutely no time, I donated the kale, juice, green tea, and large milk to the community center. A couple days later, my radishes were once again ready, so I put most of them in my kegs, but I did keep one in the seed maker for next year. I did the same thing with my red cabbages the next day. I saved one in case I needed it for the community center, and I put one in the seed maker, so I could really only put 2 in the kegs. The traveling cart was back in town, so I was able to purchase holly and another rare seed. I had to double check the fish that I needed, and then did end up buying the red snapper. So I was able to donate the red snapper and holly. Now I just need a crocus for the winter forage bundle to be complete. To end another summer, 50 radish juices were ready. I'm looking forward to these profits, but before that, I checked the cart and bought an oyster and another 5 rare seeds. The traveling cart lady is laughing at me because I would have loved to have 5 rare seeds in my last playthrough. Anyway, I donated my fresh oyster and then, I did think the radish juice would bring in more profit, But hey, I don't want my new success to go to my head. It's already pixelated enough, so I will take those 14k profits. Not that I could really do anything on the contrary. But it's about to be pumpkin and rare seed season, so buckle up. To start out fall, I opened my mail and received 500 gold. But I didn't want the handout, so I restarted the day. So I guess no more mail for me. I harvested my first corn, putting it straight into the seed maker before planting my rare seeds, fall seeds, pumpkins, and corn. This is going to be my best season yet. I can just feel it. And don't put anything on the contrary into the universe because I simply won't have it. My red cabbage juices weren't too shabby, if I say so myself. Then my fall seed harvest was ready. I got a blackberry for the community center and put the mushroom straight into the seed maker. And I think I forgot to mention my cranberry. Oops. But she was working overtime to give me 4 cranberries, which did give me 8 seeds. I donated my blackberry to the community center, so I just need a wild plum to complete that bundle. Bright and early the next day, I bought a blueberry and a bream. I chucked the blueberry into the seed maker and then donated the bream to the community center. I got 3 blueberry seeds, and then something must have been in the rain to make me a little crazy to go ahead and upgrade my pickaxe to copper. Not that it really matters. The 10th was a beautiful, beautiful day. I was able to harvest 18 pumpkins. I saved 1 for the community center and then turned the rest into 34 seeds. And just what I needed, my fall seed from that earlier mushroom harvest resulted in a wild plum. It really can't get much better than that. I also harvested some cranberries and corn. I put the corn in the seed maker and decided to save the seeds for next year. Always gotta be forward thinking here. At the same time, I put my cranberries into the seed maker and did get 28 more seeds. To finish it all off, I donated my wild plum, which then completed the fall forage bundle. The next morning, I bought a coffee bean, pufferfish, and starfruit seed. Oops, I guess I didn't need that pufferfish. Another unwarranted purchase. At least right now, I can afford to take the hit. My next visit to the cart, I bought refined quartz, void essence, a wheat seed, and a fried egg, just in case. I grabbed my storage pumpkin and then made a donation run to donate my pumpkin and void essence. I did attempt to donate my refined quartz, but I need 5 of those, so rookie mistake. I made sure I would have a regular corn and 5 gold star quality corns for the community center before turning more crops into seeds. The 19th was a huge harvest day. I harvested 15 sweet gem berries, and they went straight into the shipping bin. Then I proceeded to harvest corn, saving only the gold quality ones before turning the rest to seeds. I also harvested 34 pumpkins, which did turn into 64 pumpkin seeds, all of which I planted before taking the time to check the traveling cart, where I did buy a potato, large egg, truffle, and a maki roll just in case. After that huge haul, I was able to donate my large egg, corn, and potato. As if things couldn't get any better, I got 56k gold from all my sweet gem berries, which does mean I now have enough money to buy the vault bundles, if only they were unlocked. But the grind doesn't stop there. I had more cranberries to harvest, of which I did save a lot for my cakes. I checked the cart, as I always do, and bought a crab. I donated it right away. Then it was another corn harvest, which left me with enough gold quality corn to donate. So I made sure to have 5 gold quality corns and put the rest in the seed maker. Then it was time to grab and replenish my cranberry wine. Before I could rein in those profits, I made sure to donate those 5 gold quality corns to the community center, after which I did bring in 22k profits. You know you're moving up in the world when you can upgrade your backpack. It only took me 3 years, and just so you know, it's not the length of time that matters, but the fact I got here in the first place. Anyway, after harvesting some cranberries, I checked on the traveling cart, where I bought a tiger trout and spring onion. Immediately after, I donated the tiger trout and then the onion. And then, on the last day of fall, it was the last pumpkin harvest of the year. I put 5 in the seed maker and then the rest in storage. I finally bought a purple mushroom for the traveling cart. While I was there, I also bought a strawberry and solar essence. On my way to the community center, I put my strawberry in the seed maker before donating the solar essence, which did allow me to finish off the adventurer's bundle. I did backtrack to buy the wild plum from the cart since I did realize I would need more of those. Winter was a slow start, but eventually I had some cranberry wine to sell, so add another 23k to my profits. On the 5th, I forked over some profits for hops and an eggplant seed. 2 days later, I bought 5 melon seeds. And then 2 days later, I had 75 cranberry wines to sell. When filling my kegs back up, this time I put what was left of my cranberries, pumpkins, and red cabbage, ending the day with another 23k profits. On the merchant's next visit, I bought a large goat milk and a scorpion carp. I then proceeded to donate the carp and the large goat milk. The very next day, 59 pumpkin juices were ready to go, and I do love the sight of 60k profits. I can definitely get used to that. And I have to say, the money did go to my head. I just don't know where to stop, so yes, the money prep does continue. Another night market was upon me, and I almost thought the first day was a bust, but then I noticed the mead. I snatched it up and made sure to donate it to the community center, which means I am so close to finishing off the brewer's bundle. The next day, I had more cranberry wines ready, so straight to the bin with them. Then I waited for the cart to open. I bought fiddlehead fern and some cookies. Of course, I donated the cookies before ending the night with that cranberry money. I was excited to see bean starters on the final night market day, so I bought the traveling cart lady out of her supply. On her next visit, I bought an apple and a periwinkle. Of course, I donated the periwinkle and saved the apple since I will be needing 3 of them. Turns out the traveling cart lady knew I needed more because on her next appearance, I bought another apple, a tomato seed, and 1 wheat. The 26th was an even better day. I bought a dandelion, mussel, wheat, wood skip, catfish, and iron barred. So I started my donation tour. I donated the mussel, catfish, and oops, I guess I didn't need that wood skip. Yet another unnecessary purchase. I did go on ahead and donate the iron bar and then the dandelion. To end another successful winter, I bought a pomegranate, eggplant, and blackberry. I straight away donated the pomegranate and eggplant. Let's take a look at my chest. My traveling cart chest, that is. I might be needing a bigger one for all my purchases. How the tables have turned so quickly. Or not. Now that I think about it, it's been like 4 years. So I guess that's not really that quick. I do have a bit of seeds ready for most seasons, and even some extra items I didn't even need to buy. I've also made a decent, let's be honest here, a decent amount of gold given the challenge, but not a decent amount in general given the timeline. And I don't mean that as a way to talk down myself. So you know what? No, that's actually a great amount of gold to have. And with that, I think it's time we enter the grind phase of things. I'm no longer struggling for money. I can basically buy anything besides that insanely priced catalog from the traveling cart. So now it's just about seeing what stock I can get my hands on. May the odds ever so be in my favor. To start off my 4th spring, I did go ahead and plant some bean starters, cauliflower, parsnips, rhubarb, and a strawberry. I almost forgot about my coffee bean, but don't you worry, I eventually came to my senses. Love to see that my speed grow is in fact going strong as nature intended. But no, not my rhubarb. The growing weeds struck down my strongest of soldiers, and there is nothing I can do but mourn. It took a while, but the fairy did decide to visit yet again. If she could come every day, that would be just great. On the first traveling cart visit of the year, I made sure to save one of my green beans for the community center, and I am just so excited since I think that will finish off the spring crop bundle for me. But before I could head on over to the community center, I did buy a cockle and rare seed from the cart. I went ahead and donated that cockle, which did finish off the crab pot bundle, unlocking the vault in the process. In the nick of time, honestly, because if I manage to finish off the vault, I'll be able to attend the Desert Festival this year, which I should be able to. I did go ahead and donate my green bean, which did finish off the spring crop bundle as expected. It was just a woman's intuition, what can I say? Anyway, I did go ahead and spend the money to buy all the vault bundles. I mean, why not? It only took me 4 years. It's such a beautiful sight to see one of the rooms completed. Hopefully, it won't be too long till the next room is up and ready to go. On the next visit, I did go ahead and buy a rare seed and an eel. Of course, I donated the eel right away. The 12th was a bit more of a bust, but I did walk away with another rare seed, which is exactly what happened on the 14th as well. But the 15th was my first desert festival day, so you bet I scurried on over there. But I had to wait. And then even when I was in the desert, I had to wait yet again because the cart wasn't open. Rude. I'm a loyal customer. You'd think she'd open up earlier for me, but apparently my money means nothing to her. I see how it is. She did pull through for me though, so I probably shouldn't complain too much. I bought a fiddlehead fern, a hop, and a rare seed. To end the day, I did make a whopping 630 gold from some green bean juice. Again, the desert festival must have had something in the air because the next day I was able to buy oak resin, a wild plum, a rare seed, and a fall seed. Now, don't go getting all jealous, especially not of my 252 gold profits for the day. I know it's a tough ask, but I'm leaving you with no other choice. The traveling cart lady is truly on a roll because I was able to finish off the desert festival with a wheat, a rare seed, and a starfruit seed. There was no Pierre to be seen during any of those days, but there is always next year, and the next, and the next. And you might think I'm kidding, but just you wait and see. I continued to farm in the time between cart visits, racking up a humble profit before the traveling cart was once again docked in the forest. I bought a single rare seed, and then 2 days later, I bought a winter seed and another rare seed. A power duo of seeds, if I say so myself. And then it was back to making some profits. I just, quite frankly, didn't know when to stop. But I guess you can never have too much money. I mean, whoever complained about being too rich? Anyway, on the second to last visit of spring, I did go ahead and buy a pumpkin seed, a single sap, only 499 more to go, and then another rare seed. And this is where I had a big brain moment, if I do say so myself. I originally had the intention of buying all 500 saps. It was a price I was willing to pay to complete this challenge, but then I realized I could just buy a tree seed from the traveling cart, plant said seed, and then chop it down for some more sap. It would have been nice if I had thought of that solution earlier, because then I might have had more than one sap right now, but I did eventually come to my senses. Editing me is just gonna quickly interject here. Called this a big brain moment, but then I proceeded to not buy the tree seed that was at the traveling cart. So there's irony in there somewhere, but in my defense, I do think I came up with this idea once the day was over and I was writing down my notes, or at least that's what I'm going with, so that I have some plausible deniability. I'm sorry, I need to maintain my big brain status. Anyway, I did sell some of my accidental traveling cart purchases since space in my traveling cart chest is getting tight. On the last day of spring, I bought a largemouth bass, some wine, ice cream, a chub, and a rare seed. I made a quick donation run, donating the largemouth bass, chub, wine, and ice cream before bringing in a little bit of gold to end the spring season. I had a lot of crops to plant in summer, so I got to work quickly. First, I put what wheat I had into the seed maker because I realized I could. For some reason, I wasn't thinking about it before. Then I planted some coffee, blueberries, radishes, red cabbage, tomato, melons, wheat, starfruit, and corn. Like I said, I had a lot to plant. But I also had some nice profits from my rhubarb wine, which made me realize I feel like I focused on the wrong crops in spring. Not that there's much I can do about it now. Anyway, the profits didn't stop there. Each day, I would sell whatever was ready in my kegs. On the 5th, I harvested 5 wheats, and oops, I accidentally put one in a preserve jar, but rest assured, the rest of them went into the seed maker. I mean, in my defense, I had to get some use out of my preserve jar, and along with the wheat, I now have 2 hay. I checked on the traveling cart, but only managed to snag a rare seed. My profits continued but then I took a break to check the cart. I bought an iridium bar, even though I did know it was a purchase I don't necessarily need. Of course, I couldn't resist the rare seed, so yes, I did go ahead and buy it. I'm like a well-oiled machine, selling my artisan goods each and every night. The 9th was another wheat harvest, which meant I now had enough wheat to donate, but not enough hay, unfortunately. So I put 4 wheat into the seed maker. Each and every day, my wallet continues to grow. I love to see it. I do lighten the load on the 12th though. But first, I tended to my wheat, which now means I have 9 hay, so the wheat planting will live to see yet another day. I did go ahead and buy a tilapia and a rare seed. I donated the tilapia and the tomato I had grown earlier in the season. I do have to admit I was let down by the radish profits, so my effort might be better spent elsewhere. When the merchant was back in town, I bought another rare seed and a gold bar. I went ahead and donated my 10 wheat to the community center and then my gold bar as well. Again, I brought in more profits, but more importantly, my wheat eventually did produce 1 more hay, which meant I finally could head over to the community center and donate the hay to the bulletin board. On the 19th, it was a bigger harvest day for higher value crops, which I do love to see. I also love that I was able to buy another rare seed and an apple sapling. I made sure to plant my apple seed so it would be able to produce in fall. Just 2 days later, I bought a walleye, rare seed, and a tuna. I donated the tuna, then I went on to donate the walleye, finishing off the night fish bundle. Just a couple days later, I had a blueberry harvest, which meant I now have 5 gold star blueberries for the community center. I put some star fruit into my kegs. To celebrate, I donated those 5 gold star quality blueberries, finishing off the quality craft bundle. But things didn't stop there. 3 days later, when the traveling cart was back in town, I bought a crocus, rare seed, and a shad. I donated that shad quickly, and then I went to donate the crocus, which did finish off the winter forage bundle. My haters say I couldn't do it, but hey, I'm proving them wrong. And you might be like, "Elle, what haters? Let's be real here." And I only have one answer to that: me. I'm my biggest hater. I said I couldn't do it. And maybe you thought the same, but you can just keep that opinion to yourself. Wait, okay, to be fair, I still have a long way to go, so maybe I shouldn't speak so soon, but it really did seem like I was finishing off things in rapid succession. Anyway, I did finish the summer with more profits, a rare seed purchase, and then I realized, oh wait, I hadn't donated a melon, so I quickly flew on over to the community center to do so. The 4th fall of my 4th year, I had 19 rare seeds to plant, and you could say maybe I was struck with inspiration from my last video where I built a sweet gemberry empire accidentally, and yes, such a thing can be accomplished accidentally. But I've got to be real here, I can no longer remember what building that empire really felt like because I've been doing this challenge for so long. And that's not even an exaggeration, quite frankly. Maybe, let's be fair, just a little bit of one. In any case, I also planted my fall seed and pumpkins. Watch as the money rolls in. It's truly a disease. When is enough enough? Clearly, I had not reached that point. When the traveling cart merchant showed up next, I first thought I couldn't, or rather shouldn't, buy anything, but I was wrong. So I did snatch up the battery pack and sprinted on over to the community center to donate it. I'm sad to say my fall seeds turned into 2 black berries, which yes, I do need for the community center, but I can't put them in the seed maker, so I am stuck. I think I jinxed myself. Anyway, the traveling cart finally had a daffodil, so I immediately bought it alongside a maple seed so I could start working on farming some sap. I went ahead and donated the daffodil. I also planted the maple seed and kept it close by so I could watch it like a hawk. So much money. Well, okay, a reasonable amount. I'm no millionaire over here, but I feel the need to show all my profits for the sanctity of this challenge, although it's clear. Money is no longer the limiting factor here. I did go ahead and throw my money at the traveling cart so I could buy a fiddlehead fern and a hot pepper. The hot pepper went straight to the community center. Unfortunately, the next visit was a bust. They all can't be winners, I guess, but I would very much like them to be. But I don't think the traveling cart is sentient enough to take my feedback into consideration. Even more money was coming my way, but I like it better when I put the money to good use. Hold that thought, because I have 19 sweet gem berries to harvest, and this was thankfully the moment I was like, okay, I really need to beat this money disease. So I harvested and picked up all my juices and just sold it all. And do you see what I see? A fully grown apple tree. A more beautiful sight has never been recorded in the history of this game. But first, I hopped on over to the cart. I bought a duck egg and then allowed myself the delayed gratification of picking the apple off the tree. The apple will pair excellently with the two I already have in my traveling cart chest. And yes, I almost forgot my apples, but a little user error never hurt anyone. So I went on over to the community center, donated the duck egg, and then donated those 3 apples, finishing off the fodder's bundle. I ended the day with 69k gold from the sweet gem berries and 82k in total. If things go according to plan, I don't think I'll need more than that, but when do things ever go exactly according to plan, especially with this challenge? The scorpion carp gave me a freak out because I thought I didn't have it for a second, but I bought that fish what seems like years ago. What I did buy though was the nautilus shell and 5 hops. I donated the nautilus shell and then looked around at the bulletin board, and that's when I thought I was toast. What do you mean I need a frozen geode? How did I not notice this 40 hours ago? I'm a failure. I'm so dumb. And you know what? Those things may or may not be true. But what is true for certain, I'm no quitter. I physically could not quit if I wanted to. And if there's a will, there's a way. So you bet I found a way. I'll just have to do the calico egg method with this frozen geode, even if it does hurt me a little bit. But it is a little bit more tricky with the frozen geode than just those mystery boxes, because I need not only a Pierre appearance to buy calico eggs, but I need Pierre to show up and then Sebastian. Or they could show up the same day, so that I would be able to have the opportunity to spend money for some calico eggs, which I could then use to trade for a frozen geode. Simple enough, right? And you know what? I'm not even mad about it because this whole challenge is just ridiculous anyway. And so I followed up my brief crisis intermission with a donation of 5 hops. Maybe I should be hoppy about things. My traveling cart tree brought some much needed light into my life, so I promptly chopped it down, all in a day's work. The tree gave me 6 sap and no new seeds, so that part was unfortunate. The traveling cart decided to take a vacation or something because there was nothing good to buy for the rest of fall. But she was just waiting to get better stock in winter because she pulled through with her stock on the 5th. I bought a yam and an iridium ore. And look away, but I did accidentally buy an iron bar because I did think I needed it. But who cares? Because I was able to donate the yam, finishing off the fall crop bundle. And then, of course, I donated the iridium ore as well. 2 days later, I bought another purple mushroom and a wild plum. And love to see that she did have an octopus for sale on the 12th. So I snatched that up and chucked it into the donation bin, finishing off the Master Fisher's bundle. But she does like to keep me humble because there was nothing to buy on the 14th or 15th. But the 16th, she did pull through again. I bought a copper bar and a bullhead. I quickly donated the bullhead, just need 1 more fish for each of the remaining bundles in the fish tank. And then I followed that up with a copper bar donation, which finished off the blacksmith bundle. To pass the time until the next night market day, I did go ahead and buy the big chest recipe, but I waited and passed all the time just to be disappointed. I wasn't disappointed on her next visit though, because I was able to get my hands on 5 maple seeds. Of course, I planted my little seed children, if only they would grow in the winter. Some time passed, and then it felt like in no time at all, the traveling cart was back. So I bought a large brown egg and then donated it, finishing off the animal bundle. On the last day of winter, I bought 5 purple mushrooms and 1 wild plum. I collected a purple mushroom I had in storage and then headed on over to the community center. 1 purple mushroom went to the field research bundle, while the other 5 went to the wild medicine bundle. And with that, let's do a quick end of year 4 recap, shall we? I just need 1 more item for the wild medicine bundle, and likewise 1 more item for the spring forage bundle. In the pantry, I need 1 more item for both the brewer's bundle and the summer crop bundle. I need 1 more fish in the river fish bundle, lake fish bundle, and ocean fish bundle. I need to work on the forager's bundle. I mean, I do have blackberries and wild plums in storage, but I do need a whole lot more of them, which actually made me realize maybe that was why I wanted level 10 foraging, so I did have the chance at a double forage harvest. But now that I say that out loud, that makes no sense. Maybe for the iridium quality? Anyway, I also need 1 item for the field research bundle, enchanter's bundle, and children's bundle. In the boiler room, I need 1 more stack of items for the engineer's bundle. Not too shabby, but in my chest, I do have 1 refined quartz, 3 fiddlehead ferns, 3 blackberries, 5 wild plums, and 7 saps. So I am making progress on some of the unfinished bundles as we speak. And to be honest, this is going to be quicker than I thought, so let's see what year 5 brings. From here on out, if I see a rare seed, odds are I'm going to snatch it up. Even if I look like a grandma, I'm no ordinary grandma though. I'm a grandma who would be using a motorized scooter. Anyway, I had to wait until the 12th until something more useful than a rare seed was for sale. This time it was a horseradish. I forked over the gold for it and then promptly donated it to the community center, where I finished off the spring forage bundle. My first maple tree was all grown up, so time to collect my 6 sap because I will not be collecting anything good at the cart. The next day, however, I did have better option. But first, let me chop down another maple tree. I got another 6 sap and 2 more maple seeds, so I did go on ahead and plant them. Those original 5 maple seeds from the cart are truly the gift that keeps on giving. And okay, I lied, I was wrong, there was nothing good the other cart days. 2 more maple trees were ready on the 21st, so I was morally obligated to axe them down like my life depended on it. So another 12 sap went into my chest. On the 26th, I did spend the gold to buy another maple seed from the cart, so I did plant that real quick, but nothing else of note was for sale this 5th spring. A short while into summer, another maple tree was ready, and I got another seed, so it seems each tree dropped 6 sap, so I'll need around 80 trees to get my goal of 500 saps. From here on out, I will be replanting any seeds that have fallen from chopping, but that is a lot of trees to chop down. And trust me, it is a slow process, so I will save you the pain of detailing each and every one from this point on. But I did make sure to get rid of any seeds that did seem suspicious or out of place, because I also think that the seeds that do fall from these trees are fair game as well, which does kind of complicate things, but I did try my best. On the 14th, I thought I had some more big brain energy by buying a hazelnut. But to my disappointment, the nut would not fit into the seed maker. Plan soiled. Life ruined. I want more fall seeds to get those blackberries and wild plums I'll need, but I guess you can only get those with common mushrooms, so my big brain move was a big brain fail. At least on the 21st, there was a pale ale for sale, so I bought that and then donated it, finishing off the brewer's bundle. And yes, I very well could have made my own pale ale, but like I said earlier, I did want to try and stay as faithful to buying as much directly through the traveling cart as I could, so I decided not to make my own wine, tea, etc. for the community center, as you've probably picked up on. I mean, as you know, I'm not above making deviations when necessary, but to kind of make up for the deviations I did have to make, I think it's fun to just buy everything else from the cart. And honestly, at this pace, I don't think making it myself would have really sped up things too much. Just 5 days later though, I was able to buy a common mushroom. I placed it directly into the seed maker and got 2 fall seeds from it, which I did repeat on the 28th, only this time I walked away with a single fall seed. Speaking of fall, I was able to plant 3 fall seeds and 27 rare seeds. At the traveling cart, I was able to buy a single blackberry. I'll need 50 of them, so I really need to pick up the pace. 2 of my fall seed forage was ready, and I got 2 wild plums, so I couldn't make any more seeds from them, unfortunately. I did head on over to the cart and was able to buy a rabbit's foot, common mushroom, and 1 sap. Of course, I did turn that common mushroom into 2 seeds, and then planted them before donating the rabbit's foot, which did finish off the enchanter's bundle. The next day, my other fall seed was ready. It was yet another wild plum, which means I'm over halfway to the 15 wild plums needed, since I do have a stash of 8 of them. On the 12th, I cut down some more maple trees, and one did have a mystery box, so this could be another source for the mystery boxes that I will need for the summer squash. I'll wait to open it up in summer though, just to be safe. I did go ahead and buy a Chantel mushroom just to experiment, and oh, yeah, I guess you can't put that in the seed maker either. Oops. Fortunately, the next time the merchant was in town, she was selling a common mushroom, so I was able to get 1 fall seed from it. I harvested a blackberry from my fall seed that was planted, and then went over to buy a sunfish. I made sure to donate it, which did finish off the riverfish bundle. After 26 long days, my sweet gem berries were ready for harvest, which lifted my spirit since there was nothing good to buy at the cart. I mean, how can you feel anything but happy when you bring home 91k in gold? To end out the fall, I cut down 2 more maple trees, which does put me at 158 saps. So I still have a bit to go before I reach 500. Winter was even slower than fall. I mean, in fall, I was at least able to finish some bundles. In winter, all I did was buy a fall seed on the 7th, build a horse stable on the 15th, buy a salmonberry on the 16th, name my horse Gumby on the 17th, and then proceed to not buy anything the rest of the season. But year 6 will be my year. I can just feel it. And I started off strong with a salmonberry purchase the first traveling cart day. I did go ahead and buy an acorn on the 12th to hopefully speed up the tree growing process. And then I sped it up even more by buying a pine cone the next cart day. I also bought a fall seed. On the second desert festival day, I bought a common mushroom and then was cursed to only get 1 fall seed. It was yet another year with no Pierre. Under normal circumstances, I would be happy about it, but given the challenge, I can't say that I'm too thrilled. Love to see there was a sardine at the traveling cart on the 19th. I did go ahead and buy it and then donated it so I could finish off the ocean fish bundle. But that was the last of my progress for spring. After checking the traveling cart on the 5th, I decided to have Clint open up my mystery box, but it was just a lame totem. I did buy another acorn seed on the 7th just to keep the traveling cart in business. And then I had to wait all the way until the 28th to be able to buy another maple seed. But at this point, I don't know if it was even worth it since my trees have been steadily multiplying by now, but you can never be too over-prepared. On the 1st of fall, I got another mystery box from chopping down one of my traveling cart trees. As I've come to learn, these mystery boxes are not as easy as you would think to get, so that was fun to find out. They like to play hard to get, and I'm just not here for it, but I will take the mystery box, don't get it twisted. I then planted 23 rare seeds and 3 fall seeds. My fall seeds provided me with a common mushroom, wild plum, and blackberry. On cue, that common mushroom was turned into a fall seed, but only one because you can dream around here, but you can't dream too big. On the 12th, while there was nothing to buy, I did have 12 trees to cut down, which means I now only need 53 more sap until I can finish off that sticky bundle. 3 days later, I harvested a single blackberry, so I'm once again out of fall seeds. But I can be sad later because on the 19th, I finally had enough sap to finish the bundle. So I quickly checked the cart, bought a salmon berry, and then donated 500 sap to the community center, finishing off the sticky bundle. The traveling cart lady must have been proud of me because the next time she came to visit, she was selling 5 common mushrooms. I bought them all up and then realized that it might be better to use my forageables from the cart to actually craft seeds than to put them into the seed maker. I almost didn't though because I didn't think I would have time in the season, so I turned to my trusty speed grow, so I did go on ahead and craft 20 fall seeds. While I was at it, I decided to open my mystery box for some reason and got some artichoke seeds. Now, looking back, I probably should have just saved that for summer, but think of it as an experiment. I got fall seeds, so I did confirm to myself that I should have opened these boxes in the summer like I mentioned before. Anyway, I did go ahead and plant my fall seeds with some speed grow that I had bought from Pierre's. Honestly, I don't know how he's in business, but I'm not here to question his business if he's not here to question mine. I accidentally ate one of the blackberries harvested on the 26th, so I did go on ahead and restart the day. Not off to the best of starts, but then I was able to harvest more of my fall forageables, which I then turned into 30 more fall seeds for next year. My sweet gum berries were also ready, so I sold 23 of them, ending the day with 78k in profit. Winter started off good with a fiddlehead fern purchase on the 5th. I just need one more to be able to donate 5 of them to the community center. On the 12th, I bought another wild plum, and then I proceeded to check the cart each and every day, even on the night market days, only to be met with disappointment. So I edit my earlier statement. I feel like year 7 will be my year. But the game had other ideas because I did have to wait until halfway through spring to actually be able to buy anything useful from the cart. I snagged another refined quartz, so I now have 2 of the 5 needed for the boiler room. And I couldn't believe my eyes. On the 16th, the man, the myth, the legend himself was here. Pierre? I've got to admit, I did fumble it here, and I fumbled it hard. I bought the 200 eggs from Pierre, but for some reason I thought the eggs would transfer from year to year. But let me just say, I found out the hard way. That's not the case. I clearly have not been to the Desert Fest recently, or well, I guess I haven't really spent quality time in the Desert Festival in a while, is what I should say. What's even worse is that I could have used those eggs to trade with the merchant for some mystery boxes, but my head just wasn't in the game, I guess. I was woefully unprepared. In any case, I did buy another refined quartz from the traveling cart, and then the next day, I bought another common mushroom. Just 2 days later, I bought yet another refined quartz. This month must be the month of the refined quartz because I now only need 1 more. But the purchases, besides rare seeds, sadly ended there. I continued to chop down those trees from the traveling cart in case I got a mystery box, and so on the 1st of summer, I was able to actually get my hands on another one. Surprisingly, I did get another mystery box just 4 days later, so I took them both to Clint, only to be met with disappointment. No summer squash, but I did get some summer seeds, so I think I'm on the right track. On the 7th, I did buy another wild plum. This season must be the season of mystery because I got yet another mystery box on the 12th. It just had some lame wild seeds though, but it did a good job of tricking me into thinking I'd be able to reasonably get mystery boxes from these trees. If I had only known. Anyway, I then decided to craft 20 more fall seeds. Because of that, I did go ahead and buy 50 deluxe speed grows to prepare for the fall season. To continue on the streak of progress, I was able to buy another refined quartz from the traveling cart, which means I now have 5, which also means I went right on over to donate them to finish off the engineer's bundle, which does mean the boiler room is now complete. 7 years in, and I think this is my second completed room. Slow and steady wins the race, or so that's what I hear. I do love the sight of some Junimo labor. Anyway, I did end the summer season by buying 5 more wild plums, a salmon berry, and a rare seed. And now, with fall, it's time to get down to business. I planted 50 fall seeds, all with deluxe speed grow. I then planted my 23 rare seeds that I had collected throughout the year. Doing a quick check-in, I currently have 13 wild plums and 12 blackberries. I have a feeling I'll need to plant more fall seeds than what I have. Well, okay, that's kind of obvious since I do need 50 blackberries, so I did go on ahead and craft 20 more fall seeds. Of course, I had to hop on over to Pierre's to get the corresponding speed grow. It took 6 days for my fall seeds to be ready for harvest, after which I had enough wild plums to donate, but I still needed 21 more blackberries, so it was time for some seed making. I crafted 70 more fall seeds and planted them. The next day, I was able to snag another fiddlehead fern from the traveling cart, which does mean I now have 5, so I was able to donate my stack to the community center, which did finish off the medicine bundle, which did finish off the craft room. Look at those Junimos go! They're on a roll! The 11th was another fall seed harvest. I was able to harvest all 70 forageables, but I still did not have enough blackberries, so I yet again crafted another 70 more seeds. As life would have it, I did buy a blackberry at the traveling cart the very next day. It wasn't enough to make me have 50 blackberries, but after my fall seed harvest on the 16th, I finally had enough blackberries to my name, but unfortunately for me, the entire town was conspiring against me and wouldn't let me into town. So I had to wait to donate. And so wait I did, because I did not emerge from my house until the next traveling cart day, on which I checked the cart before heading to the community center to donate both 50 blackberries and 15 wild plums to finish off the forager's bundle. On cue, I harvested my 23 sweet gem berries on the 26th before buying another salmon berry at the cart, ending the fall with 80k gold. After a spectacular performance, winter let me down so bad. There was not a single good thing to buy all winter, even with the night market. But I'm really getting pretty close to finishing the community center, or at least I feel like it. I just need a summer squash, a sturgeon, some more salmon berries, and a frozen geode. I do think year 7 was my year, so I can only hope year 8 will be just as good, if not even better. Unfortunately, this was the year that I did find out my precious calico eggs did not transfer over. At first, I did think it was a glitch, but then I quickly found out, no, it was just my error. But at least I didn't have to wait long for Pierre to show up again because he was there on the 17th. He was here for retribution, and I really appreciated it, but this was when I realized I was even more dumb than I thought, because I did not trade for some mystery boxes, and you know what? I have to live with that shame. I'm just saying, things could be worse. And by worse, I do mean at least my bones weren't found in a tree, because what do you mean a bone fell out of the tree I was chopping down in summer? That's frightening. And honestly, I should have taken it as a sign to give up on chopping down trees entirely, but I persisted. If you take anything away from this video, leave with this. Listen to the warning sign. They're there for a reason. Anyway, it took 21 whole days until I got one single mystery box in summer. I was so excited, so I went ahead and opened it only to be met with sashimi. Great! In a little bit of more exciting news, I did start off fall by planting 36 rare seeds. I don't really know if I even need to be doing this anymore, but it just felt right. it gives me something to live for, which I really did end up needing because there was nothing good at the cart for the entire fall season. It's getting so painful out here, but at least I had my 148k profits from my sweet gem berries to keep me company. Unfortunately though, no comfort could be found in winter because there was nothing I could buy for the community center. But there's always year 9, right? Right? Don't tell me spring is a dud as well. Oh, well, yeah, spring was a dud. Well, there's always summer. And thank God for summer because on the 12th, the traveling cart finally had a sturgeon in stock. I genuinely audibly gasped out loud because I have been waiting 9 long years for this. To celebrate, I did go ahead and upgrade my axe to iridium since I deserve it for cutting down all those trees. And then I finally donated a sturgeon, finishing off the lake fish bundle, which did complete the fish tank. Another room down, only 2 more to go. Now I just need a summer squash, 4 more salmon berries, and a frozen geode. Let the RNG gods be on my side. Anyway, I continued to chop trees, but there were still no mystery boxes. Quite frankly, both fall and winter thought I had made way too much progress because there was absolutely nothing good during both of these seasons, unfortunately. So it's time to move into a new decade, year 10. If I'm being honest, this is both going faster and slower than I thought it would. Spring was not off to a good start because there was nothing but rare seeds to buy. Eventually, all the way on summer 12, I finally got another mystery box from chopping. It took so long to just get one measly box. But this was the path I chose for myself, so I must live with these consequences. And the consequences seem to not be a summer squash, unfortunately. And just like that, summer turned into fall and fall turned into winter, but no new notable purchases. I did buy some cookies on the 15th, so I could put them out for Santa, which did allow me to get one more mystery box. And oh great, he tried to end this challenge right here, because tell me why Santa gave me bombs. I feel like he should not be giving gifts to children if this is one of his gift options. But that's just me. Anyway, year 10 soon turned to year 11. I did go on ahead and buy more cookies on the 7th and 14th. During the desert festival, Pierre showed his face again, and I was really happy for it. And not to mention, alongside him was Jazz. And so I must admit, I caved hard. I bought the calico eggs, and then I traded some, or actually I think it was just one, for an ancient doll from Jazz. I was tired of waiting for 4 more salmon berries, and you know what? I've suffered enough, so yes, that ancient doll is coming home with me. Objections? No? Well, good, because this time I did actually trade calico eggs for mystery boxes. I did go on ahead and save some in case Sebastian wanted to show up. In any case, I donated the ancient doll to the community center, so I no longer needed the 10 salmon berries, which did allow me to finish off the children's bundle. Which means I just need a summer squash and frozen geode, which means I am completely at the hand of the desert festival. And trees, I guess. But my bet is on the desert festival. Unfortunately, Sebastian was not at the desert festival the next day, so I did go on ahead and trade the rest of my 4 mystery boxes, and now it's time to enter what I like to call the slog, because while getting Pierre and Sebastian is possible, we've got to go back to that idea at the beginning of this video. How probable do you think it is? Less likely than my optimistic self would have liked to imagine. Honestly, it's my greatest weakness. Just thinking I'll be able to brute force myself into success. I mean, it will work out eventually. It statistically has to, I believe. But don't quote me on that. But at what cost does it come to me? And to be clear, I'm not saying none of what I've done before hasn't been a bit of a slog, but this is on a whole new level. I got another mystery box from my trees. The wiki does say you have a higher chance by shaking the trees, but I don't really know what constitutes a shake, so I will just chop. I will go ahead and open my current mystery boxes, and turns out they were all duds. I'm beginning to see a pattern here, and I don't like it. I made sure to get my Christmas mystery box because I got no other ones during the rest of summer, fall, or winter. So I will take what I can get. And so it was time to begin year 12, but it was pretty uneventful. No Pierre or Sebastian at the Desert Festival. To lift up my spirits, I did open my Christmas mystery box in summer, but just got some lousy speed grow. There was a time I might have been happy to get speed grow, but today is not that day. I did put my other cookies on the table, so I could at least get one more mystery box that way. Let's see if it pays off for me next year, because I got one measly mystery box in the summer of my 13th year. I took this as a sign to visit Clint, but I left yet again disappointed. If he could slip a summer squash into my pocket, that would be greatly appreciated. I did decide to go on ahead and take in my personal mystery boxes that wouldn't count as a mystery box gained through the traveling cart, just to see what I was working with. I did open 27 of them, but it was pretty concerning that none of them had any seeds in them. But I will say, I do think that means potentially I will have better odds at opening up some seeds when it does come time to open up mystery boxes procured through the traveling cart. But I don't know if that's just me having wishful thinking. And so the years started to pass by one. Year 14 and year 15. No Pierre, no mystery boxes. In year 16, I did decide to work for some more calico eggs so I could get some more mystery boxes, a lousy 5, if I do say so myself, but I wanted them so I could get my hands on the mystery box book. The odds were finally in my favor because I did manage to get my hands on that book, so I will now have a higher chance of getting mystery boxes, but honestly, I'll be the judge of that. I did put it to the test in summer, but I only got one mystery box, so to say I was underwhelmed is an understatement. And to top it off, there was no summer squash seed inside. All my effort, and for what? Nothing. Anyway, year 7 came and went. In year 18, I did manage to get one mystery box, but surprise, surprise, no summer squash. Year 19 flew by with nothing to note. In year 20, Sebastian was at the Desert Festival, but Pierre was nowhere to be seen. A painful reminder that I am close, but not quite close enough. See you in another 20 years or so probably, Sebastian. And so, year 21 and 22 just flew by. And I was still left empty-handed. At this point, I was kind of starting to lose my mind. And so I decided to put away my pride and check with the Stardew Valley predictor. Because again, I know it was probable to get Pierre and Sebastian in the same year, but at this rate, I kind of need all the help I can get, and using a tool was how this whole thing started, so it's only natural that this is the same way this challenge will end. I can look at the predicted villagers for the Desert Festival and the categories of what will be in my mystery boxes. But as I have come to learn, the predictor isn't always correct. So even with this tool in hand, I am at the mercy of concerned ape. So I slept, and I slept. I had to wait until year 25 until Pierre visited once more. I traded for 10 mystery boxes. Like I said, the predictor was most of the time right, but sometimes it was wrong, so there could have been times where Pierre popped up that I might have missed because of a wrong prediction. But the next time I got to see Pierre behind the counter was year 48. Add 10 more mystery boxes to my stash, and 10 more in year 63. I had thought I had way too much money on my hands, but Pierre charges a steep price for these calico eggs. I might actually have to go back to planting rare seeds. As if I wasn't humiliated enough. And so I did exactly that in year 63. I planted my 66 rare seeds I had stockpiled and eventually sold the sweet gem berries for 280k. And let me just say, I needed that. Fortunately, only 3 years later, I got 10 more boxes and then 10 more 6 years after that. In year 80, I got 10 more, so I now have a steady stash of 60 mystery boxes, but still no Sebastian and Pierre combo. Year 96, I added another 10 boxes, and again in year 105, which leaves me with a hefty 80 mystery boxes to open. In year 108, I was too broke to buy the tea set, but I wasn't too broke to trade calico eggs for 10 more mystery boxes. I am becoming too powerful at this point. Did also take the time for some reason to plant a forest from the excess traveling cart seeds I had for some reason. I don't know why, but I guess I thought 90 mystery boxes just weren't enough. And to be fair, with my luck, I was kind of scared I'd get Pierre and Sebastian together, only to find out I hadn't been able to get any summer squash seeds from my multitude of mystery boxes. That's truly my worst nightmare. And so year 109, Pierre was there again, and so I now have 100 mystery boxes to open. I was actually shocked I got 4 mystery boxes from cutting down my forest at the bus stop, so I replanted all those trees. In year 110, I was able to get 10 more mystery boxes because of Pierre, so I now have 114. I only got 2 this year from chopping, so don't love that. And once again, funds were running low, so I planted some more rare seeds, netting 84k profits. I would buy rare seeds whenever I did see them at the traveling cart. I probably should have just stopped to open my boxes here, but the grind, the slog, it continues. Pierre struck again in year 111, so I now have 126 boxes, but actually make it 127 because I did get 1 more box from my forest. But then I had to wait 7 long years for Pierre to show up again, meaning I now have 137 mystery boxes. And unfortunately, from chopping down some trees, I got none. I repeat, I got none from my forest. Honestly, it's been so ungrateful. I took the time to plant those trees, and this is what I get: nothing. But if there's one thing I can depend on, it is myself, if I do say so myself. So I traded for 10 more mystery boxes in year 123. A year later, I did get 10 more, totaling 157 mystery boxes. I did another forest chop and got 1 mystery box. And yeah, please ignore all the weeds by the traveling cart. I don't know why she let the place go to waste like this. And so I did finally decide on summer 12 of my 124th year that I would open my mystery boxes to see if all my hard work was worth it. Luckily, and I do mean luckily, I was able to finally get my hands on some precious summer squash seeds. And yes, I do say luckily because I was curious and I proceeded to open up each and every mystery box I had left. And the options I got were frightening, but it doesn't matter. I have what I need, and I probably could have done it decades earlier. And the saddest part is that's not an exaggeration. So yes, I did go ahead and plant my summer squash seeds with some speed grow, and then on summer 16, it was time. It was finally time to take my summer squash and donate it to the community center. If I can get there, that is, because I have been sleeping a lot, and I guess keeping the town up and running is still only on me. In any case, I did donate the summer squash, finishing off the summer crop bundle, and completing the pantry in the process on year 124 of my save. It took over a century, and I'm still not done. All hail the almighty mystery box, am I right? So this is where I was bamboozled by the predictor. It originally said Pierre and Sebastian would be together on year 136, but 136 came and went, and there was not, in fact, a Pierre and Sebastian duo. So I had to wait decades. I had to wait until year 166 for Pierre to appear at the Desert Festival before Sebastian. And I fear I have lived more lifetimes than anyone should to get to this point. But I have to finish this challenge. I can't give up now. Could you imagine? Like, what if I just ended things here? You know, it's just been too long. I don't want to finish it anymore. No, I would not let that happen. So on spring 16 of my 166th year, I headed over to the festival, got some eggs from Pierre, as many as my money would allow. And funny story here, because I bought too many that I didn't have enough money for the bus the next day. Yeah, you can't make this up, okay? We're just gonna pretend this did not happen for my sanity. So just like I had been time traveling to the future by sleeping through the days, I did time travel backwards and went back to the festival, bought less calico eggs this time, and then was able to take the bus on spring 17. I was a little worried Sebastian wouldn't be there because I was like, the predictor is gonna do me so dirty. After a wait of almost 2 centuries, Sebastian took his rightful place, and I traded my calico eggs that I bought from Pierre, which were purchased with the traveling cart profits, and finally got my hands on this god-forsaken frozen geode. And not even the regrowing rubble at the community center could keep me away from finishing my task. The task I set out to complete 166 years ago. I donated that frozen geode, finishing off the field research bundle, which finished off the bulletin board, which completed the community center. And it only took a mere 166 years. And let me just say, you can really tell it's been 166 years because this entire town is looking rough. But at least the community center is complete. And honestly, after 166 years, I think JoJo probably wants to move on. Like, I don't even think they're upset about leaving Pelican Town because what is there to do here? It's filled with weeds. And maybe they were onto something because something inside me was still unsettled. Like, I still had some business left to do in Pelican Town. So I placed a diamond at Grandpa's shrine, and he finally came to his senses. It almost took him 2 centuries, but I finally got those 4 candles. Not only have I finished the community center, but now I've made Grandpa proud. And let's be honest, I am now old enough for that to be my shrine. Like, I should be Grandpa. But it's not about the journey. It's about the destination in this case. One that took 75 hours to complete in-game. And even more hours just finding the right save. I don't even want to know how much work I put into finding the right save, because let's be real, it wasn't even the best one I could have found. And so you might be asking, was it all worth it? I mean, let's be real. I did have fun. I love these kind of challenges. I love to torture myself. It's a part of who I am. And that's the most important part. The part where I had fun, not the part where I tortured myself, to be clear. But I don't want to get it twisted here. I will never be attempting this again. I know there are areas I could have improved, but quite frankly, I really don't think it matters much when you have to wait 166 years for Pierre and Sebastian. So yes, I could have optimized things a little bit better, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And isn't that just delightful? With that, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you made it this far, because you had to watch me suffer for 166 years. And stay tuned for similar videos in the future, at least similar-ish, because I'm not making a video like this again. And so maybe you should go out and try this challenge for yourself. I can't promise that you won't regret it, but there is the probability that you could have fun. Anyway, bye!